Wholeness means to me being in a state of joy.
Wholeness means feeling complete, owning my authentic gifts.
Wholeness is really connected. Everything is connected to everything.
Wholeness is where we have access to all parts of ourselves.
Card comes from the card deck, The Simple Answers. So cute. I don't know if you can see it. And the card that we picked is called Have Fun. So it's perfect for today, I think. So it says, it's important to keep the inner light of your spirit shining bright in order to remain uplifted in the dark, negative, ego-based world. The best way to do so is to intentionally surround yourself with things that delight the spirit in every way. I love that. Things, the word delight. I love that. The things that delight your spirit. Fuel your inner light with some good old-fashioned fun. Connect with any sounds, scents, tastes, textures, flavors, and friends that amuse your inner child. Step away from drudgery, duty, mindless tasks, and responsibility for an hour or a day, and do something spontaneous and frivolous. The light of your spirit is that of your inner child. Ask what it would like to do today. It might be something as simple as watching a comedy, going shopping, taking a new car for a test drive, trying on hats and sunglasses in a department store, or having a picnic on the living room floor. Whatever it is, do it. Break from convention and routine and do something out of the box. The ego disdains frivolity, yet it is the most direct path to joy. Be frivolous, lighten up, have fun, be silly. It will refuel your light.
Oh my gosh, I love
great.
that.
Yes.
Oh, I think that the person that we're talking about today would actually really like that. So,
yes.
So we're going to talk about Mr. Rogers. And there's been so much stuff that's been published about him lately that I'm not going to go over his whole biography because I would think people know a lot about him. There's probably still some that don't, but it's pretty easy to find. So I'm just going to try and tell you a couple of interesting things I learned that maybe you don't know yet. So he always, do you know how much he weighed?
He weighed the same, was it 147 or something like that? It
143.
was like 143. Okay.
Yeah, because 1 for I love, always. 4 for love, 3 for you. And
sweet.
He must have manifested that, is all I can say. Yeah. Well, and he was a man, so his hormones weren't as complicated as ours, but I just think that is so cool. And that was a message that he would tell people that number, 143. And that was like his secret code for I love you.
He like embodied the love. He like literally embodied I love you. That was his intention, at least, right?
Yeah. And if I've watched him, over the years, I watched him as a kid. Did you?
I did. I loved it.
As a kid, I just thought it was great, and then as you got older, it's a little embarrassing. But as I was an adult watching him, I had a totally different experience because you can see he gets down on the kid's level. He talks, he listens, and he thinks like a child in a way, because I remember he wrote a song about you're not going to go down the drain with the bathwater. Because he knew that some kids are afraid of that. Like, that is a fear that kids have. And like, that's nothing, I would never think of that. I
totally believe that. I totally would watch at the end. There would be like a nail. I didn't feel like I was going to go down, but there was like this it looked like a nail. And I remember thinking like, I know there's not a nail, but I was worried about I'd get like something would happen if a nail went down the drain, it would like clog it or something. And so I would sit there until all the water was gone, feeling that to make sure it wasn't solid.
Yeah. So you think like a child. I mean, in the most beautiful way, you think like a child. I just think I love that about him.
I did that. When I was little. Yeah. And so I was one he was singing to.
Yeah, you were.
That was helpful.
He was a pescatarian because not all of his life, but he didn't want to eat anything that had a mother. So he just felt like just that love for children. I think he just was born with that, I think.
Yeah.
He was really overweight as a kid. Did you know that? And would get teased.
Made fun of. Yeah.
And his chauffeur would come and eat with him eat lunch with him. I don't know where his mom was. His mom, I know, knitted all his sweaters, but from what I've gathered, and they're really kind of protective about her, they don't say a lot of things about her. But it seemed to me like she was kind of involved in like philanthropy around Latrobe, Pennsylvania, where they lived. But she didn't seem like she had a very hands-on with his younger life.
Mm-hmm.
So she could have been busy doing other things. I don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
when he was 11, his parents adopted a little girl named Elaine, and it was so that he could have a friend.
Oh,
I thought that was so fascinating. So yeah, when he was 11, he got a
wow.
little baby sister. And then he named his puppet Lady Elaine after her. And I'm like, she was the scariest one.
You're right.
Hopefully there was some love in there because she still scares me.
Yeah, she is.
Anyway.
You're right.
And let's see, the last part is which kind of goes along. Oh, so she knitted all of his sweaters, and then some of the puppets were named after family members. So Mr. McFeely was his mom's maiden name.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So, yeah,
that's awesome.
So my questions for him are kind of simple because I think we do know a lot. I do know a lot about him. Have you heard of StoryCorps? It's a podcast.
No.
It's CORPS. So people can record just a story of their life. It's fascinating. Like they have trucks that drive around and you can go and make an appointment and someone can interview you. Like your kid can interview and ask you a question. And
yeah.
Anyway, it's really cool. So they did a StoryCorps by Francois Clements, who was Officer Clements. Do you remember him?
Okay.
He was a black opera singer.
Yes,
and he played a policeman. Mm-hmm. And there was, anyway, I'm going to link the podcast in the show notes because it is, I've listened to it multiple times. It just makes me feel so happy that people can treat each other this way. But Francois he wasn't, I wouldn't say very gay out when he was on Mr. Rogers, but later on he was. And Mr. Rogers and his wife had come to one of his shows where he was singing. And afterwards, Francois came up to me. He's like, Fred, like when you looked at me when I was on stage, I just felt like you loved me so much. And Fred looked at him and he goes, I've been trying to tell you that for years. And today you finally saw it. And just the magic of having somebody that can just offer that love. Like he'd been offering it for years, got nothing in return. And so my question was like, how did you learn to practice that much love for someone who is so different from you? I want to be that way. I really do. I struggle. And he
seemed to have the right words at the right time too. You know what I mean? Like he just seemed to he was always affirming. It was just seemed always to be affirming of the person in front of him, no matter what, you know. And it is something I really, really strive to emulate. A funny thing about him is, so, you know, he had the dark black hair, you know, with a part on the side. And so did my dad. My dad had that same hair. So I think when I was little, you know, I kind of, there's a part of me that's substituted Mr. Rogers as part, you know, as personality for my dad. You know what I mean? Like, my dad was there, but it's like, I feel very connected to Mr. Rogers, like very, very connected to him. And probably from the time I was a kid, because I think he just looked similar to my dad. You know, my dad was very thin too, very thin, black hair, you know. So it's like, it's like in my mind, my dad has some of those attributes, but it's like, oh no, those are Mr. Rogers. But in my mind, they're parental to me. You know, they're like, he's very parental to me. So
that's cute.
I love it.
That's really sweet. That's really sweet.
Yeah.
I just barely saw an interview. I think it was actually with Oprah, and she was asking him, like, are you ever angry? And he was like, really? No. He's like, you know, she said, do you ever yell at your kids? And he's like, I really don't. But he wrote a song about being angry. Yeah. So I feel like at some point he had to have felt those feelings to be able to write a song about it. So I'm just going to read a couple lines. I have a book of his songs. It's like poetry.
Yes. I love it.
I love it.
Yes.
So, what do you do with the mad that you feel when you feel so mad you could bite? When the whole wide world seems oh so wrong and nothing you do seems very right? What do you do? Do you punch a bag? Do you pound some clay or some dough? Do you round up friends for a game of tag or see how fast you can go? I can stop when I want to, can stop when I wish. I can stop anytime. What a good feeling to feel like this. I know that feeling is really mine. Know that there's something deep inside that can help us become what we can. For a girl can someday be a woman and a boy can someday be a man. Anyway, I just love that. And what a good feeling to feel like this and know that feeling is really mine.
Yeah.
Like he just taught us to feel our feelings.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I think most little kids are told to put that anger somewhere, but he says, what are you going to do with it? Express it somehow. Yep. You know what I mean? Express it how are you going to, and like make it almost like a, like a choice. Here are all the, what are you going to do with this mad?
Yes.
And we should do that as adults, right? I feel this mad. What am I going to do with it? Let's do something. Okay, I'm going to punch a pillow. I'm going to get some dough out. Like, and then I would bet you, after a few minutes of punching the dough, you feel better.
Yeah, I bet
You're
so
back
too.
to yourself again,
Yeah, you felt it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I want to ask Mr. Rogers, if you could add something to our 2020 world, what would it be?
Oh, man. Yeah.
I don't know. There's too many options, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he could think of something really good to help us feel happier.
Yes.
Yeah. How did you get the inspiration to write your songs? He wrote a lot of songs, and they are written for children, I would say. I mean, I would bet that he's written some piano compositions that probably don't have words to it.
I bet you're right.
I was just thinking about this song. Did you ever see the interview he did with Joan Rivers?
No.
Okay. So Joan Rivers took over for Johnny Carson when he was gone for his show, just for a little bit. And so he came on the show, and she was kind of teasing him in the way that she does, she did.
Flirty,
she was very, was she like shocking? Did she like to shock people?
Oh,
do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I see.
So she was saying shocking things, and like the whole audience was kind of tittering, and he just remained composed the whole time. And he just said, I think I know why people are laughing. He goes, because they just are so used to seeing me on TV and seeing me in real life, they kind of feel uncomfortable because they don't know what they're dealing with. Like, he totally addressed it. He didn't get embarrassed. He didn't get upset. I love that part. And then he looked at Joan Rivers and he sang her It's You I Like. And at first she's just sitting there and he's like, do you know the song?
Yeah.
And he's like, it's you I like. It's not the clothes you wear. It's not the way you do your hair. And she starts going like this. Like, you can tell, like, she's being so touched. And he just completely diffused the whole situation and just sang her the song. And he's like, it's not the jokes you tell, but it's you I like. And that song's really powerful.
Yeah.
Just sing that song to somebody that I don't care anything about what you do or what you say. Is I just like you. Yeah.
Yeah. Or to feel that for yourself. You know what I mean? It's not about my clothes. It's not about my jokes, for her. I'm loved for who I am, like it's both. Like he's allowing you, he's kind of pushing you into letting yourself feel the truth of who you are, when he sings that song. And so it's to sing it to people and be able to receive it is really important. I mean, I think
even just hearing the story, you can feel it.
Yes, you can feel it.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
And then I guess my last question would be, how could someone be more like you? I'd want him to be able to tell me, and he probably would have some like answer that would be not an answer.
Right. You're right.
Because like you discover it for yourself. But
yes,
when we talk about a Christ-like person, that's the only person that comes to my mind that I can really truly see, like, everything he did was out of love. Like, there was no ego.
Yes. Yeah. And even time ran without ego,
Yeah.
Again, like you say, food was without ego. Like, he was very egoless, very, very. I wish he was still here.
Me too.
I really do. I think we need somebody like that in our teaching our kids today. He was very mirroring of them. And that's a thing that wasn't a thing at the time. You know what I mean? Your kids were to be seen and not heard, and he would ask questions and was curious and was playful and accepting of different things. He was accepting of different people when it was still very acceptable for him not to be,
Right.
Yeah. And so I think one of the things I think about him is, because I think about that, I think in 1972, he was not Mr. Rogers. You know what I mean? He wasn't this person that we're looking back now as this hero. And so I always think about that. Like, I want to be the same person. I want to act. I don't want to wait. Sometimes there's this idea that we're going to get something and then I'll be a good, like I'll be so loving and kind, and some of these people that we're interviewing, it's just, I don't know if that's the case. I think it's kind of a reversal, you're that way. And then that is magnetic to people. Maybe, I don't know. It's not a destination to get to. It's just something to embody. Like he literally embodied, I love you. I think that is so beautiful. I love it.
When most people are asked what they want, they will answer, I want to be happy. but happy takes practice. And that's what the Wholeness Library is all about. So check it out free at thewholenessnetwork.com. are asked what they want, they will answer, I want to be happy. But happy takes practice. And that's what the Wholeness Library is all about. So check it out free at thewholenessnetwork.com.